Okay, guys, we are live and we are here with George Martin, Carnism Debunked. I guess um, strong vegan activist, YouTuber, whatnot, right? Yeah. So, uh, okay. So the thing is that let's just get right into the discussion topic, right? So I myself have done vegan activism or animal rights activism for around 11 years, right? So the reason why I am not doing it anymore is because I got into extinctionism, right? So I think that the only solution to animal suffering is extinction of animals, because I just had a thought, right? So if all animals get liberated, all the farmed animals get liberated from slaughterhouses, farms, and whatnot, will I still be happy with this world? No. Still suffering exists, cruel suffering exists, right? So this is the kind of the starting thought which led me here till extinctionism. So basically, if we are anti-species, we also need to consider wild animals, right? So for me, I would say that um, look at everything from the victim's point of view, right? So a, a calf that is starving in a dairy farm, right, and uh, a deer that is starving in a famine-ridden forest, they both feel the same sort of suffering, right? So I cannot say that first let me solve the suffering in the dairy farm, and then let me go for the solving the suffering in the forest, right? So let's take fishes for example, right? So fishes, they basically don't care whether they suffocate by being caught in a net or by being caught in a whale's mouth. It's as simple as that, right? So their suffering is going to be the same in both cases. So more like a, if we want more of a permanent solution to animals, then animals, sentient beings, conscious living beings, they need to go extinct. So this is the thought which we got.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the vegan position with farmed animals anyway. Ultimately, it's an extinctionist position for those domesticated animals. Because you mentioned a moment ago, if these animals get liberated, they will suffer the same. Well, technically, if they're liberated, they won't exist. The idea is that we no longer breed farmed animals. So we do ultimately want to commit an extinction of domesticated cows, chickens, and turkeys, and so on. The marine life thing. Okay, but what's I guess what is the alternative that you're proposing with that?
Okay. So first of all, the thought that veganism is an extinctionist position is kind of like, I don't entirely agree with it, because see, I know a lot of vegans who are extinctionist, but the thing is that 90% or even 99% of the vegans, they are environmentalists. So if you ask a vegan, a random vegan, 99 out of 100 of them would say that what is after liberating animals? They would probably say that we have to reforest, right?
Yeah, I don't
know.
No,
let me complete my point.
Go on.
No, let me complete my point. So the thing is that as per UNFA was facts, right? 77% of agricultural land is being used for animal agriculture, and it's only feeding like 17% of the people's calorific needs, right? So if this 77 this statistics clearly means that plant agriculture doesn't consume as much land as animal agriculture, right? The statistics is legit because it comes directly from UNFA. So my point is that if all this 50% of 77% of this agricultural land is gone, right? And we have already established plants don't need that much of a land. So what is going to be there, right? So if probably it's the decision is led to you and me who are extinctionists, we would probably say that we shouldn't do we shouldn't make them into forests, right? We shouldn't plant trees. We should probably reduce the population of animals. But the thing is that majority of the vegans, they are environmentalists, right? They want environment to flourish. They want they are against extinction. So ironically, I might be pro extinction right now, but I came to know about the word veganism from a documentary called Racing Extinction. So initially I went vegan for the environment, right? So in that documentary, they were suggesting veganism as a method to combat extinction, right? So this is the thing. So the thing is that if the place that is the land that is going to be that is used by animal agriculture is going to be reforested, it's going to be subject to afforestation, and instead of a chicken, right, maybe a lizard or a wild bird is going to suffer, which is equally as sentient.
But what's your solution here? Are you saying that we should maximize our consumption of animal abuse products?
No, it's not what I'm saying, because the thing is, if I say that, see, I am basically an anti-species, right? Yeah. So though I don't identify myself as a vegan anymore for some reasons, I am an anti-species, right? I don't discriminate animals. I think all sentient beings deserve moral consideration. Their suffering needs to be recognized.
Yeah.
So if I say that increase meat consumption and abuse farmed animals because the alternative is wild animal suffering, then I would be an absolute speciesist, right? On the other hand, if I say that let's liberate all the animals and reforest, then let wild animals suffer, then that would be speciesist as well. So I'm not suggesting both. So what I'm suggesting is, instead of liberating animals, we should advocate for, in the animal movement, we should advocate for animal extinction, both for the wild and, see, I recognize that, animal agriculture, animal farming is one of the biggest causes of suffering, right? So farmed animals suffer more than humans, obviously. They're both by quantity and severity, right? So it's one of the biggest problems. But the thing is, it's pointless to fight whether wild animal suffering should be more or farmed animal suffering should be more. The only logical solution here is to make both kinds of animals extinct.
Yeah, I agree. I want domesticated animals to be extinct, and I want wild animals to be extinct. It's just, but ultimately, we should still identify as vegan while fighting for that. Veganism just means that you reject animals as slaves for humans. You reject animal exploitation. But yeah, I don't want any sentient life to exist on the earth either, and I would advocate against rewilding as well.
Yeah, so that is the basic thing. So vegans don't keep that as the main maybe you do. I've forgive me, but I have not seen you do any activism. I have not watched your videos. So but the thing is that when vegans do advocate for veganism, they advocate for the environment, right?
Yeah, I hold it that veganism has nothing to do with the environment. It's just about animal oppression. It's just about animal slavery. I reject that veganism is about health or the environment. It's just about animals. And I think
What sort of, whose definition of veganism do you accept? Is it the vegan society or?
yeah, it's that's a tough one actually. Because I don't think any definition is perfect. But ultimately, there are ways to. The reason I wouldn't accept the idea is I've done a video about this, about how why veganism for the environment or veganism for my health is a load of bullshit. There are ways to abuse animals that don't harm your health, and there are ways
Exactly.
to
Abuse animals without harming the environment.
Yeah, exactly. So it just has veganism can only be about the animals. It's just a rejection of Leslie Cross's definition, I guess I'd go by the doctrine that man shall live without exploiting animals. That would be it. And then on the side of that, I'm an anti-natalist and I also want the extinction of all sentient life on Earth. I just don't know how to go about the latter. I don't feel it's something I can really do anything about.
Okay. Fine. So let's talk about it then.
Yeah.
So you are saying that you don't know how to go about it, right? So let me clear it about anti-natalism as well. So humans, we consume a lot of resources, right? So probably there is a table behind you, right? We were just having a conversation about carpets, right? You're obviously sitting inside a house, right?
Yep.
So land, water, food that humans consumes a lot of natural resources, land and water, these kinds of things. So if one human doesn't exist, it can be replaced with a lot of wild animals. Those resources, see, population in nature is ultimately dependent upon resources. So if there are resources to sustain 10 deers and 2 tigers in a forest, there will always be 10 deers and 2 tigers, right? So it's ultimately dependent on resources. So by being an anti-natalist, you are actually not reducing suffering. You are actually transferring suffering to from one species to another, from one individual to another. So your kid is not suffering, but the resources he or she is supposed to consume is being consumed by a lot of wild animals and they are suffering, right? So I think we can both agree that all kinds of things, cruelties, tortures that are experienced by farmed animals is also existent on nature, right? Be it starvation, be it rape, be it cold, right? So every kind of cruelty that farmed animals experience is there in nature as well, right? And natural death is far more painful oftentimes than death in slaughterhouses, many times, right? No, let's not go into individual cases, right? Let's not go into that, right? But we agree that existence of cancer, we agree on those kinds of things, right? Existence of cancer, right? Those kinds of harsh diseases, natural disasters, accidents, right? Harsh weather conditions, starvation, thirst, rape, these kinds of things are existent in nature, right? So instead of your child, someone else is going to suffer. And as a true anti-species, I don't care, right? Which species is suffering or which individual is suffering. All I care about is suffering. So the thing is that I'm not making any change by being an anti-natalist. To be really honest, I'm not making any change, right? The only way to make change is if I end life itself, like end sentient life itself once and for all. That is the only change I could make. So it's like saying, I don't know what to do about extinction, so I guess I'll go to church on Sunday. It's the same as saying that, you know, I don't know anything how to cause extinction, so I'll be an anti-natalist. It's totally useless, right? So the thing is that if something should be done, okay, 1,000 years ago, right, one guy would have said that you know, slavery must be abolished, right? Somehow it must be. At that time, he wouldn't have the knowledge of how to abolish slavery. He absolutely wouldn't. The whole world would be against him. He would be a single person, right? So, but the thing is, he didn't think about it. He thought that we have to gather people, we have to convince them that slavery must be abolished, right? And rest is history. And it developed into a movement, and finally it was, right? So first step is getting people, putting some brains together and starting to work on it. If we don't do that and keep saying like, okay, you know, I don't know what to do about extinctionism, so I'll probably be an anti-natalist. It's like saying that, you know, I don't know what to do about, you know, it's like saying that let's say I'm a first animal activist. It's like saying that I don't know what to do about the animal issue, so I guess I'll just go to church on Sunday. I'll pray to God or something so that he'll save animals. It's the same thing. We have to start working against it. And the next part I'm going to say, actually we can cause extinction right now if we wanted to. If humanity wants to, right now they can cause extinction of all sentient beings, but they're not going to do that because all of them are pro-life. Right now we have the technology, but the thing is that uh, as a true true anti-species, we have to make extinction as vast as possible and as permanent as possible, right? So if I cause extinction, let's say, right, and tomorrow life is going to reappear, it's not going to do for me, because suffering will appear again and everything will reappear, right? So the thing is that even though we can cause the extinction of earth-based living beings right now, right, even if we make an extinctionist society right now, we shouldn't cause earth-based extinction. So we have to go for something called as a cosmic extinction, right? So we have to search for ways to make extinction permanent and as vast as possible, and as vast as possible in the universe, right? So the thing is that there are a lot of upcoming theories in physics, like vacuum decay, which basically suggests that if you trigger a Higgs boson particle to a lower energy state, there will be a vacuum bubble formed, and that vacuum bubble will expand and cause vacuum decay. I think you can research about this on your own time. And another thing is exotic physical energy. These are all physical theories that can that even allows a possibility for a cosmic level extinction. So I would say that if suffering is something that is very common in universe, we should even try to solve suffering altogether. So right now we can do something like you know, causing the extinction of animals. So as a vegan, you know, one thing for a fact, that is humans don't need animals for their survival, right? So we can live without animals. All we need is plants, right? So we can cause animal extinction right now, and we need to search for ways to end suffering as in as vast of a region as possible, and we should end it as permanent as possible. So this is my point. And as of your question, what to do right now, an immediate solution is, first is activism on a individual level, on your level. We need to put people together towards a movement, right? So even animal liberation is not going to be instant, right? So if you fight for animal liberation, you have to put people together. You have to protest against animal exploitation. You have to protest for banning slaughterhouses and farms and whatnot. You have a long way to go. So everything is not instant. So first step for everything is putting people together. And as of how we can cause animal extinction, we already have the means to artificially cause ecological dead zones, right? Through chemicals, radiation, changing pH levels, etc., etc. So if humanity decide, if a large number of humans decide, we can do a phase by phase extinction by creating ecological dead zones here and there, and working our way towards total extinction of animals, is what I think.
You said a lot there, so it's very hard for me to know which point to respond to. Are you saying that we should procreate?
Okay, let me ask you one question. I think the answer will be clear once you answer the question. So let's say that every single person in this world becomes an anti-natalist. Let's say that, right? The theoretical goal of anti-natalism, ethical anti-natalism, is human extinction, right?
I reject that.
Why?
We know that that's not going to happen. All it is that you assign a negative value to birth. No, antinatalism isn't something that is going to be taken on by a large number of people. It's something that you just do for yourself.
That is something practical. I agree. Okay, let's say that hypothetically, right? So every single humans in this world becomes antinatalist, right? So let's say that a group of extinctionists, you, me, and some more people are there, right? So this majority of the world, they say that we have to cause human extinction, right? And leave animals behind. Would you agree with them, or would you?
Yeah, I would. And the reason being because I would pray for them for astrological disaster. So I would want humans to go extinct, no humans to be here. And then when some massive asteroid the size of the sun heads towards Earth, I don't want any humans around to try to stop that. Because humans are just going to try to stop any kind of mass extinction, like the movie Armageddon, right? Where the people fly the fucking spaceship towards the asteroid or whatever to stop it. So I would just pray for astrological disaster if we weren't here. I think that's the best way to actually eliminate all life on Earth, is just a massive meteorite.
I thought you were an atheist. I assumed.
Yeah, I used it. Yeah, I am an atheist. I use the term pray as in colloquially. Hope. I would hope for astrological disaster. Yeah, and look, all life on Earth will go extinct one day. But I think humans are actually the species who are going to prevent that from happening, and would actually probably migrate life to other planets to oppress and rape and enslave there. I mean, Elon Musk even wants to start colonies on Mars and all this bullshit. So I don't want people to be around to come up with these ideas to prolong and extend life on this planet. All I can do personally is just stop my lineage now, stop those farmed animals from being born into existence, ensure that no other child will be raped or enslaved because of me, no one will be assaulted because of me. All I'm trying to do is just end my lineage here. That's all I can really do. But I think the whole yeah, the whole we need to have humans here to do this and that, I think is a bit pie in the sky at the moment. I think all we should focus on is what can we personally do to stop another sentient being murdered in the meat industry because of us, or another child being a victim of a paedophile ring because of our lineage, or whatever it is.
Jeevan, do you want to respond to that?
Actually, like to start from, see, if as of you say, like if humans become intelligent enough to not to procreate and to go extinct, they can be intelligent enough to not to prevent a disaster like you have mentioned. Okay, so they will be intelligent enough to work towards extinction of all other animals also. And maybe the second point you said was that, like maybe you don't want anybody to any murder of any animals to happen because of you, because of your children or anyone. So it doesn't matter whether that murder or any kind of suffering, it's happening because of you, or whether you are not involved in that, whether you are not responsible for that. The suffering exists, whether you are a reason for it or not. So an inaction is also can also be considered as an action. So if you are choosing not to take the responsibility of other animals for the extinction of other animals, and all the suffering that comes after that, all the suffering that is going to come after that, all the suffering that's going to happen to wild animals, you are as much responsible for that, because you have chosen not to care about them and to just exit this world. So it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any difference whether you are causing it or, yeah. That's my point.
I disagree that there's any kind of responsibility for wild animal suffering. I think we should try to stop wild animal suffering while we're here, but I don't agree that an animal will suffer in the future in the wild because I didn't have a kid or something like that. That just seems a huge misalignment of responsibility. There's no way of knowing that, you know, me not having a kid or whatever it was caused this deer to be eaten by this lion or whatever it is. And in any case, you know, I could have a kid that, I don't know, promotes wild animal breeding programs or something like that. I don't think it's really something, it's a very, how do I put this? I think to choose to have children just for this kind of pie in the sky idea of ending wild animal suffering at the moment, I think it's taking irresponsible and huge gambles, not only with the suffering of your own child and this all of your lineage, which will be directly as a result of you, and the farmed animals that they bring into existence as a direct result of you. I see it as a huge kind of gamble with their suffering and those animals' lives, and even with wild animal lives, you could say, like the fishing industry and stuff, all those fish, 2 trillion marine animals are suffocated on the decks of ships every year by humans. I don't think, if natalism is what you're suggesting as a solution to that, I would say that's quite a sloppy way of going about it.
Yeah, so
okay.
like I can reply to that, I guess.
Right.
So where you begin from, like can you remind me just?
I forgot what I started on.
Yeah, I remember it. So
No,
the thing is that
his basic point. His basic point is that you are gambling. Like when you are procreating for causing extinction, you are gambling. Yeah.
I got it. So if we are talking about responsibility, maybe all of us would agree that there is no such written responsibility, right? We agree that legality doesn't define morality. So there is no such written responsibility. Nobody can say there is a written responsibility, and nobody can claim that this is my responsibility. Like, just to not procreate or just to not eat animals. Okay, so if we are going in that sense, I can also choose. Like I can also say that I am not responsible for my children, their suffering. I am not responsible for the suffering of farm animals. So it's not like that. So humans are intelligent species. So we have the responsibility to take care of all the sentient beings who doesn't have the capacity to help themselves. So as of we know, we can choose not to reproduce to save our future, our children, our next generation from the sufferings of this world. But animals don't have that choice. They are trapped in this world. They don't have that intellectual capacity to understand about this existence, about this world. So they need our help. So in case if you are planning to stop procreating to cause the extinction of humans and to just exit this world, leaving all these innocent beings here in the hands of nature to suffer for infinity, it's just as worst as consuming meat or anything, being a carnist or anything. It doesn't make any difference.
Well, my
Okay,
point is they won't
that is one
suffer
point.
eternally.
And another thing, like you mentioned a second point, right? So about I guess about like marine animals or something. So it actually does make not difference like whether humans are suffocating a fish or if that fish is eaten by a bigger fish. It doesn't make any sense because both are sufferings. Both of it you can prevent. And in case of procreating, in case of giving birth to a child also, if you are giving birth to a child, I think Steve have already mentioned that. So that child is going to consume a lot of resources, which is going to replace the life of a lot of animals in this world. So humans are more privileged than animals. They can take some measures to at least minimize their suffering to a level. But if you don't give birth, in place of that child, if a lot of animals are going to exist in a forest or in the wild, those animals are literally trapped. They can't even minimize their suffering. They don't have that capacity. They will be suffering a lot. So I'm not saying that procreating is an option or maximal consumption is an option to reduce suffering, or it's a method to reduce suffering. My point is that it doesn't make any difference whether you are choosing not to procreate, whether you are not choosing not to bring your child into existence for the sake of his or her own suffering, because there is no such difference in suffering. You can't even measure whether suffering have decreased or increased. Nature is like that. Suffering just gets balanced. Either animals will suffer, otherwise humans will suffer. Either you suffer by a cause or by a different cause.
Okay.
So it's like that. So we advocate for procreation because we need human society to continue and to learn about this universe. We have to get an idea about this universe so that we can eliminate the root cause of suffering itself, the root cause of sentience itself, the root cause of life itself. To know that humans should survive. If you are not ready to take that responsibility, there is basically no difference between a carnist or like whatever, a naturalist or you. That's what my point is. Yeah.
But I think your argument comes from a flawed and idealistic concept of what humans would actually do. Humans aren't going to do these things that you say.
Let me address that point which you said before. Humans are going to spread life on the universe. So the thing is that even an asteroid impact can spread life, to be really honest, right? So let's say that an asteroid impacts Earth, right? A chunk of Earth gets thrown into the space, right? And it travels to another planet or another system or whatever, right? What if it starts life on that planet? And the other thing I wanted to address is that there is really no need for humans to spread life on other planets, because if that is the case, some other planet, right, which is going to have sentient beings, it's going to spread on its own. It's going to consume the resources of the universe, and it's going to spread to probably its own galaxy between galaxies or whatever, right? So there is like really no you cannot say that only humans have to spread this life, right? Then like if life is really common in the universe, then it would probably be like choosing antinatalism or veganism or even killing oneself to solve suffering if we don't go for cosmic extinction. It's as simple as that. Other life, they will consume resources, they will keep existing, they'll keep suffering. We have to, the root cause of suffering is life, and we have to find out the root cause of life and then solve it. There is really like, see, you are speaking as if you know um, um, the thing is that this is the only way to solve suffering. If your goal is solving suffering, you would have done an absolutely worst job if you just leave it be. If you don't address the root cause, if your problem is suffering, and if you don't address the root cause, that would logically you wouldn't have achieved your goal. So logically what you have done is like you have saved yourself, maybe your child. That's it. That is the same as, even I can draw a line, right? I shouldn't gamble. So all this is like a pointless thing. I'll just kill myself. But why am I existing? Why are you existing? Because you want to stop others suffering. Everything is a gamble, right? And see, even animal rights, as you agree wild animal suffering, right? Even animal rights is not going to solve animal suffering. It's as simple as that. Even after you see, humans have rights. Don't humans have problems?
Yes.
Right? Humans are still raped. Humans are still subject to crime, and humans are still subject to natural disasters, harsh weather conditions, and whatnot. Right? So liberating animals, even for the farmed animals, it's not going to be good, right?
Okay, I think I see where you guys are coming from, but to me, this just sounds like a very, again, sloppy way of dealing with suffering. It's like you're creating flesh vehicles, sentience and suffering in order to try to stop suffering. To use an analogy, it would be like saying, you know, we live in a world full of rape, and in order to stop rape, we need to create anti-rapists. However, none of the women in the world who currently exist are consenting to sex. So what we need to do is rape all the women to create people who will then combat rape. That just seems like a very kind of, it's like, in the same way that would sound like a crazy thing to do. It's like we must rape in order to stop rape. Or the American pro-gun argument, which is very much, you know, the only way to solve gun crime is with more guns. I don't think a good way to end, to talk about ending suffering is to create suffering, to create more human victims of child trafficking, to create more pigs who will be herded into gas chambers, to create more, you know, sheep who will be skinned and then put on ships to the Middle East in the wool industry. I don't think these are good ways to deal with, you know, a deer being eaten by a whatever in the wild.
See, whatever you are choosing to do in this world, for example, you are a vegan activist, so you are going for an outreach, so that is also like you are gambling, or maybe you are causing some suffering. Maybe you are walking through the road, you will be killing a lot of insects, so you give it up because you can do activism and you can save a lot more animals, right? So in the same way, to save maybe quintillions of animals, you will have to give up some millions or billions of animals. That's like that. So to save 10 animals from getting ripped alive, you will have to give up one pig to be eaten up or anything. So world is like that. It's not a black and white. There is no such like easy like direct way you can without giving up anything, without any sacrifice, you cannot achieve anything.
See, I'll tell you one thing. So me and Jeevan even we have done a hunger strike, right? When we used to be in the animal rights movement, right? So we did a hunger strike for 4 days, right? So, why do we do activism? That kind of, especially activisms like hunger strike, is a painful one, right? So why are we doing it? So to get attention to something that is more of a issue, something that is a bigger issue, right? So it's basically a simple trolley problem, right? So assume, like, we are extinctionists, but assume death is bad, right? There is one person on one side of the track and 5 people on the other side of the track, right? So obviously any sane person would say that, okay, I will do a bad thing to that one person instead of that 5 people. It's as simple as that. Life is not so black and white. It's not going to allow you to solve suffering without causing some. Even if you have the red button right now, and if you are going to press it, right, euthanizing all these animals is going to cause them some suffering, right? So, but you will do it anyway. You won't say that, okay, let's come to your point. You said that, rape, right? Let's say that, if you press the red button and these animals will get raped and then killed, all the animals, right? The obvious decision would be to press the button, because if you don't press the button, it means that indefinite amount of animals are going to suffer more and more. Yes, so you'll obviously press the button, even if they are going to burn alive or whatever. If that is the only option, you will be like, I'll accept this suffering.
Yeah, look,
that's basically.
I think the red button question gets harder when you add actual like suffering to it. When I answer the red button question, it's always under the assumption that pressing it will just eliminate all life on Earth peacefully. If it was like I was going to burn a load of animals alive, that would be a much tougher red button.
That would be a tougher red button. But what is logical? See, you and me or Jeevan here, we are not activists for ourselves. So we are activists because of the victims. So what we should think about is not our emotions. Whether, okay, if I press this, these animals are going to burn. It's going to cause me a lot of emotional damage. That is not the case. What you have to think about is what is next. What is logically best for the victims. So if I don't press this button right now, it means that an indefinite amount of generation is going to be born. Okay, these billions, they will reproduce again and again and again and again and again. They will not even billions. There are actually estimated to be 20 billion animals in this world, right? So these animals, these 20 billion, just consider like 8 billion humans versus 20 billion animals. These 20 billion animals, if you don't press this red button, they are going to continue, right? So they are going to reproduce, and it's going to become another 20 billion, another 20 billion, the next generation, the next generation, the next generation, right? And they are all gonna suffer and die. That is inevitable. And animal suffering, animals are the majority in this world, not humans, right? So their suffering is far superior, both by quantity and severity, right? So what would be best for these animals is to end them right now. I have to take that decision for the animals, not to satisfy my emotions. Maybe even I feel bad. Okay, if I create a red button, I'll feel sad about pressing it. If it causes, it's not like we are sadists or something, right? So we don't do it for pleasure or something. So we do it because it's something that has to be done. So practically, it's not going to be possible. Zero pain extinction is not going to be possible, right? So if you do get a red button, if you don't press it, right, then the indefinite amount of suffering that is going to befall the future generation is on you. Because as he said, inaction is also an action. right? So if you're being beaten, let's say that Jeevan is beating you, right? Jeevan is a bad person. He's beating you. He's probably like the animal farmer or something, right? So I am walking by that road and I'm just ignoring him, right? Because Jeevan is the one who's beating you. It is none of my damn business, right? Without stopping the event, it also falls on me because you don't care whether your suffering happens because Jeevan is beating you or because I didn't stop it. All you care about is that you want to get out of that suffering. All sentient beings want to avoid that suffering.
Okay, let's say you walk along and Jeevan is pointing a gun to a rabbit's head, and Jeevan killing this rabbit would mean that, however million rabbits are therefore spared from coming into existence through their lineage and suffering. Do you stop Jeevan from pulling the trigger? You're muted at the moment, Steve.
Yeah, can you repeat it?
Yeah. Let's say you walk along and you see Jeevan is holding a gun to a rabbit's head on the roadside. And Jeevan killing this rabbit would mean that millions of rabbits are spared from coming into existence and suffering. Would you stop Jeevan from pulling the trigger and killing the rabbit?
I won't stop him. Given the case that given the absolute hypothetical scenario, but that's not going to be the case. Because as I said, in nature, population depends on natural resources. So individual euthanasia or individual antinatalism does not work, right? So if you just say that, okay, let's say that there is a forest and there are resources in this forest to sustain 10 deer, right? So always there is going to be 10 deer. It doesn't matter if Jeevan hunts one, because the next day you go, another deer is going to have 2 new babies, right? So if this population is absolutely not, theoretically, if this population is absolutely not going to be replaced, then I'll let him shoot the rabbit. It's as simple as that. Euthanize the rabbit.
Yeah, see, I can't. That's not a position I can personally accept. I understand where you're coming from, but I think it could lead to some crazy consequentialist arguments, like assuming the Holocaust had it would result in net decrease in suffering, then we should not prevent.
That is the thing. That is the thing I am saying. Even if you let's say, okay, fine, the same forest. Let's go back to the same forest, right? So even if you end all these 10 deers in this forest, right? So those resources that the deer are going to consume is going to be still there. Maybe it will be consumed by a rhino, or maybe it will be consumed by a wild bison, right? So these kind of individualistic approaches, like you might have heard these terms, I don't know, but pro-mortalism, these kinds of approaches don't work. They solve the suffering of one individual. That doesn't matter if they are going to be replaced by another individual. I don't care about it. All I care about is suffering, because it doesn't matter to me whether George Martin is suffering, or Jeevan is suffering, or a rabbit is suffering, or a deer is suffering. All it matters to me is that nobody should be suffering, because if I say that instead of George Martin, this deer can suffer, this rabbit can suffer, then I am an absolute speciesist. If I say that instead of Jeevan, George can suffer, then I am an absolute racist. But I am not any of those. I am a sentientist. I value the suffering of all sentient beings.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from, because I value that all sentient beings as well. And I understand that, doing X thing might therefore result in Y thing happening, whatever. But ultimately, I don't think extinctionism is something that we can practically do. So I think the actual best way to live our lives is to actually just prevent our own children from coming into existence and those animals being murdered as a result of us.
See, bro, even the topmost scientist, topmost physicist in this world right now, he cannot say that, say for absolute surety that causing extinction, humans causing extinction is impossible. I mean, leave Earth-based extinction. That is definitely possible. We already have the technology to do it. As I said, ecological dead zones. We have nuclear weapons right now. Leave that. We are arguing about universal extinctionism right now.
Yeah.
Even the topmost scientists in this world cannot make the claim that it is impossible. How are you making that claim that it is impractical?
Because no one's going to take the idea on. There's never going to be a stage in human
I can simply sit here and say that nobody is going to take the idea of veganism on, give up activism and go home.
Yeah, so I agree that the world itself will never be
The
vegan.
thing is, the point of activism is, the point of activism is making people see that fighting for what you believe. Simple as that. Yeah.
Sure, but I think veganism could actually, I think one day every developed country in the world will no longer enslave animals, and we'll have like lab-grown meat and stuff instead of animal farming and stuff like that. So I actually think it can make a tangible difference. With the extinctionist movement, yeah, I agree with you guys that I want there to be no life on Earth. That I 100% want that. The same universe, whatever. But I don't think there's ever going to be a stage in human history ever where a group of humans, unlike veganism, where I think there'll be large groups of countries who look back on animal slavery the same way we look back now on human slavery. I just can't see humans' collective consciousness ever saying we must destroy all life in the universe. I think that will always be seen as this madman nutty professor idea that a few people have.
Okay, let's just change our tables right now, right? So let me say that I'm a vegan, right? And this discussion is happening 200 years ago. You would have said the same thing about veganism. Sure. Right, that is thing number one. Okay, even if you take slavery, if you go 1,000 years back, people would tell you that if you are an activist that long back, people would tell you that this will never be abolished, right? But the thing is that human ethics and rationality is continuously growing. So we solve racism, right? We solve sexism. The next step we take is solving something like homophobia. Then the next step we take is solving something like speciesism. So growth of social justice movements and their continuous victory is an indicator that human ethics is growing, right? And the other side, let me complete, Jeevan. The other side is rationality, right? So first of all, as an activist, I shouldn't even be pondering over the question whether people will agree to it or not. I recognize that if I want to solve suffering, extinction is the only solution. I have to fight for it. So that just for some clarity, I'm talking about this. So first is ethics is growing. Indicator is social justice movements. Second thing is that rationality is growing. So if you look at it, like if you talk about atheism in many countries 400, 500 years ago, you would have been burnt alive, right? But right now atheism is very popular and it's gaining popularity day by day, right? And following it comes nihilism, right? So what does ethics tell you? Ethics tells you that the final point of ethics is that suffering is bad. So whenever suffering happens, empaths rise against it. They form social justice movement. They fight against it. Empaths cannot tolerate suffering, right? So this is the history. And the other thing is that rationality is continuously evolving. Atheism, nihilism. So what do you do with a totally meaningless world which is inherently negative? So obviously people are going to come to the extinctionist conclusion as these both things evolve. Right now we have like 90% of theists, Like people are believing that some magical being exists above, right? So right now you are like in the stages of probably anti-slavery beginning when compared to extinctionism, right? So you are in a society where everyone against you is pro-slavery. Right now you are in a society where everyone is pro life, right? Even 30-40 years ago, if you have been sitting here and arguing with me about veganism, right, you wouldn't have had confidence that people will adopt lab meat, this will happen, animals will be liberated. You wouldn't have this much confidence.
No.
Why you have today is because of unapologetic activists, people who are radical, people who are stubborn activists, who don't lower the standards, as you said, please go vegan for your health. No, people who did serious activisms for the victims. You are here because of them. And the other thing is that logically, veganism will never happen. As I said before, even if you obtain rights for the animals, it will only be farmed animal suffering will be reduced on. Let's forget wild animal suffering for a second. Farmed animal suffering will be reduced on a large scale. That is going to be replaced by wild animal suffering. That is another topic. We already discussed it. So even for the farmed animals, right? So let's say that casteism in India is illegal, but still we have people in India practicing casteism, right? It's illegal. People, empaths fought against it. They made laws, they made education system against it, but still majority of the rural areas of India is still casteist. Many castes will be there, right? So same way, even after you liberate animals, people who are going to eat meat are going to be there. So this meat will not even be regulated by legal means. They are going to probably grow chickens like they grow cannabis on basement with smaller cages, even worse conditions, right? So even this didn't solve farmed animal suffering, though it decreased the number of sufferers, farmed animal sufferers. It increased the intensity of the suffering of farmed animals, right? Unlike this, you don't want the whole society to go extinctionist. Let's say that we, the three of us, do extinctionist activism, right? And through this, right, some physicists, some scientists, some great minds in the world, they become. We don't even need the large scale society to become extinctionist, right? So only when we have absolute no other way and we have to go for a phase by phase ecological dead zones, we need these majority. We need to convince the majority. So even a group of 5 or 6 scientists can finish the job in 200 years. Hell, maybe even 50 years, right? So this is an absolute permanent solution. It's as simple as that. So what you are suggesting, reducing farmed animal suffering, is totally useless. If your goal is reducing or even stopping suffering or even reducing suffering, extinction is the only way to go about.
Well, let me ask this. You say you
One
don't
more-
identify as a vegan anymore. Do you buy animal products?
No. I don't.
Why not?
See, even I'll tell you a story. Like, even when I was a vegan activist, right? Even when we recently did the protest that I was mentioning, the hunger strike and all, we don't use the name vegan. So even when we were into animal rights instead of animal extinction, we don't use the word vegan because we think message is more important, and we generally don't associate with them. See, as you said, some people say like go vegan for health, and that is like a spit on the victim's face.
Sure.
Literally. You are going over the victim. So somebody is going through a worse suffering. You are saying that you are an oppressor. You take care of your health. This is I guess this is the only movement in history that licks the boot of the oppressors and cares about their health. Right?
Yeah, sure.
So you imagine, like, there was a practice in India called sati, right? So basically, when husband dies, they will throw the wife forcefully into the fire. So this was a practice in India. So there were a lot of women rights activists doing activism against it. Imagine them saying that, even if you don't care about the women, care about the smoke this is causing. This burning women are causing smoke. It's going to get into your lungs.
It's disgusting. Yeah, 100%.
It's disgusting.
Don't rage because you'll get an STI. Yeah.
Even when I was into animal rights, I don't want to associate with these morons. It's as simple as that. The thing is that I see up till a point I was like you. See, when you were talking these points, right, about health and all, I literally felt like me 3-4 years ago. So what I used to do is I used to conduct these meetings, and I used to try to convince all the people, no, veganism should be about ethics. We should do some radical protests. We shouldn't talk anybody about anything else other than victims. We shouldn't encourage these kinds of step-by-step approach and all. So we should be like going for abolitionist thing. So going to abolish, we should ask for abolishing animal cruelty forever. So these kinds of things. But then, like, I felt like there is not a single definition on any dictionary or vegan society that says that veganism is an ethical standpoint. Everybody says that, every definition says that it is a lifestyle, right? And everyone in the vegan movement, majority of them, okay, you and me, we are actually very rare, especially in India. So a majority of them, they do activism based on environment, based on health, right? So obviously they are the ones, they are the ones defining the word veganism. So I didn't want to come into that banner. So what we discussed at that time, me and Jeevan, was that we wanted to focus on the message. Nobody said that, okay, keep a Hugan name for people who don't own slaves and promote it as a lifestyle. They just say that ban slavery. That is totally enough, right? So that we came to this conclusion of not identifying as a vegan long ago. And now, even though I am extinctionist, I am still not consuming animal products, because that I think that animal cruelty is bad, animal abuse is bad. Same like raping a woman is bad, woman abuse is bad, right? So to prove my point that extinction is the only solution. This is not going to be solved forever without extinction. I don't need to go and rape a woman to show you that, okay, this is all pointless. I'll just rape a woman and show this guy. I'll tell them all. It's not a good strategy, right?
But the point is, you are living by the principles of not bringing you, even though you said earlier yourself, you pretty much both said, look, this is all kind of just pointless, because even if you don't do this, this will happen. It's like a game of whack-a-mole is what you're saying. Like, you whack one mole on the head, the other pops up, then you whack that and another pops up. You still do agree with the deontic principle that slavery is wrong, so you don't participate in animal slavery, right? Even though
obviously that was the beginning thing that I said. Animal suffering animal slavery is a big issue. And one of the largest reasons why I am an extinctionist. I am against it, right? And I don't believe that I have to abuse some animals to show you that even after animal slavery, I can just do it by facts. Why should I go and it's like saying, probably you don't do activism for women, right? So it's like asking you to, since you don't do activism, you think that this suffering is bigger. you should go and abuse women. It's not logical.
What I'm saying is, I think the positions both you guys are making are kind of stemming largely from consequentialism, right? And if you were to take that, there's this dude who's like worked out the exact perfect number of animal products to buy to reduce the amount of net suffering in a wild animal space or something. Like, why is it that you haven't taken on that ideology? Why aren't you, say, buying a certain amount of dairy to clear the most rainforest?
As I said to you before, there is like I think we need to clear this again. So the thing is that there is, what we are saying is that there is no point in and we shouldn't ever do like give out statements like, you know, because it will be factually wrong, like, because we cannot say that increase animal slavery to combat wild animal suffering. I'll not ever say that.
Right.
I won't say that I won't say that decrease the I won't say that liberate all the animals and rewild either. Okay, I am still in the animal movement. What I'm asking you to do is that cause extinction of animals. Okay, we don't need animals. This is a point I told you. As a vegan, you know that you don't need animals to survive as a human. As a human being, for human beings survival, animals are not needed. This is an absolute fact, right? We only need plants to survive, right? So I've been healthy for 11 years. I've been consuming plant food and I've been healthy, right? So this is an absolute fact. So what I'm saying is that instead of asking for, so this would be the same as, okay, if I say that first go vegetarian and then you are more likely to go vegan, it would be a wrong thing, because again I'm saying that it's okay to abuse cows for milk, right? Indirectly that's what I'm saying. So I shouldn't say that. I should say that do it right now, right? So the same thing I want you to see applied to extinctionism. What I'm saying is that I'm saying that first you liberate animals and then you think about their extinction. I'm directly taking that step. Cause animal extinction. I'm directly taking that step.
Let me throw that vegetarian analogy back at you.
Just I have to
Jeevan, one second. Let him finish.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So
he started some point. Let him finish, George.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that vegetarian analogy, yeah, I agree. That's kind of what I think, though, you're doing with the natalism thing with regards to extinction. If you're saying that it's good to procreate for this goal of extinction, it almost is like someone saying, go vegetarian, then vegan. It's like you're saying,
no. It's totally, no. Let me say, let me clarify that difference. So the thing is that when I'm saying like go vegetarian and then vegan, right? So I'm making it as if that maybe the victims of milk industry matters less, right? So, and this can be done right now. Cosmic extinctionism is something that cannot be done right now. There is a difference. And what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to never accept that reproduction is something good, and never going to accept that killing someone is good, violating their will to live or something is good. I'll never accept that. But what I am arguing is that though it may be an evil thing, let me put it very clearly, reproducing is an evil thing. Though it may be an evil, I am doing it because if I don't do it, it's going to worsen the problem.
So are you planning on having a kid? Can I ask?
Same thing I did in a hunger strike, right? So there is a bigger pain, that is animal slavery. So I am taking some of the pain and protesting in the street so that I can get attention to this animal cruelty. And we got results. This event was one of the most covered events of anti-speciesism in India by media. We got results. So the thing is that sometimes we have to accept, tolerate, or even cause some suffering. Right now, let's say that you are an animal liberationist. Right now, if I say that if you kill a bunch of people and take over the government, I have a plan. It works for real. Wouldn't you do it? Take over the system and liberate animals if it's for real. So you are accepting, causing, and tolerating some suffering to prevent greater suffering. That is my point.
Okay. Can I ask?
Just a second,
I think Jeevan can go now, and you can go next.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
my point was that actually we don't need this much discussion on this stuff. I think. One thing he mentioned was that since he don't think that people are going to be there would be a future society which is going to be an extinctionist and which is going to try for cosmic extinction. So I choose to be working with veganism because I expect that people are going to be vegan. There will be developed countries will be taking decision not to keep animals as well. Actually, this doesn't need much explanation. It's just my thought. If I'm thinking that veganism is also not going to help, if I'm thinking that extinction is not going to help, but I think that people are going to be environmentalists, so I'm going to join environmentalism. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people around me turning to be an environmentalist towards protecting environment, but I'm going to be a part of environmentalism. Or I'm seeing people around me turning religious. So especially in India, the right wing is rising; they are becoming religious. So I decide that I'll go and join religion because it's what's going to be happen. This absolutely doesn't make any sense. I don't think on this we need an explanation. So we know that only thing that is going to help is eradicating all life. That is extinctionism. If we know that nothing else matters, all other things, let it be veganism or let it be anti-natalism or anything, all those things are like religion or environmentalism or different. All those things are just beliefs which won't actually eradicate suffering. So we don't have to discuss on that itself, whether we have to go for veganism or it doesn't even come to scenario. So see, if you are
this is the basic point I said. It's like saying saying nothing works, so probably everybody is going to church on Sunday, so I'll join them.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Explain, we don't even have to explain people are becoming rational, people are becoming ethical, so in future they will become extinctionists. We don't even have to give that hope, because even if that hope is not there also, there is no other rational way, right? The only way to end suffering is extinctionism. So why do you have to roam around veganism, anti-natalism, and these things which doesn't make any difference in the scenario itself? That's what my point is. Yeah.
Well, let me ask: are you both planning on having kids?
No, it depends. That's what I'm saying. Extinctionism is not a lifestyle, right? It's not a lifestyle.
It is based on necessity, right? So if I believe that tomorrow for extinctionism, for the sake of extinctionism, I have to have a kid, but right now the thing is that breeders are the majority, not antinatalists, and I can if somebody else reproduce, I can just spread my ideology. It's as simple as that. But if a situation comes where everybody, that is an hypothetical situation that I agree is never going to happen. But just for clarification, I'm saying if a situation comes where everybody is anti-natalist, people want to leave animals behind, or people don't want to search for a more cosmic method of extinction, more permanent, more of a vast extinction solution, then I'll definitely think about procreate. Not think, I will procreate.
Yeah, it's just that if you was to say what I was going to basically say, if your answer now was to say yes, I would procreate, in order to achieve this goal of extinctionism, I guess my question would have been something like, but how would you feel taking that risk and creating an infinite lineage of people for something that might never actually happen? So you've created all these people, used all these children
Bro,
essentially as pawns in a
do,
game.
do you realize, just a second, Jeevan, do you realize you have contradicted yourself? You are saying that humans are never going to accept extinction. That is why, you are in vegan activism and not extinctionist activism, though you agree with a lot of concepts of extinctionism. Then you are saying that, it's a gamble, because I am not gambling anything, right? So these humans, they are going to continue anyway.
No, but
Yes, so you are contradicting yourself.
No, because you'd have created a whole load of humans who need not exist, is what I'm saying. If extinctionism is never going to happen, I think you created additional people in the lives.
My lineage doesn't matter in the scheme of suffering. Okay, because if I am not going to reproduce, those resources that my child is supposed to consume, my lineage is supposed to consume, is going to be consumed by another child or another species, another individual. It's as simple as that. So it doesn't matter, right? So either you have to not contradict yourself and accept that we have to fight for extinction, and it's not a gamble, because we are not gambling anything. It's like, what you're saying is not logical, right? You're saying that humans are anyway going to spread, it won't work, that's why I'm gonna do vegan activism. I'm sticking to whatever is possible. So if you are sticking to whatever is possible, then you shouldn't say that we are gambling, right? Because humans are going to spread anyway. It's going to be, if they spread to Mars has more resources, so more population, right? So it's not a gamble. Whether my lineage exists or not doesn't even matter.
It matters to that child. It matters to the child.
Individual suffering, I don't care about one single individual, because for me, my child suffering, and because me not having child, and a deer is consuming the resources my child was supposed to consume, both are same. I am an anti-species. I am a true anti-species. So you reject anti-speciesism then?
No,
right?
I am anti-speciesist. Yeah, but
so you Jeevan, me, are we equal to the deer?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So why does it matter then? If the deer is going to suffer in place of my child, because it ultimately depends on natural resources.
I'm not convinced that the deer would suffer in place of your child. I think that's a misaligned.
Because I see, I already told you, I see a table behind you. I see a house, right?
Yes.
These are all resources consumed by a human, that is you, right? So some water, some wood, some land, some land for farming your food is being taken, right? Yes or no?
It is,
so
but
that
I'm not convinced that it decreases the amount of animals on the planet. I mean, even in city spaces, we create farmed animals, and we also create more what's called liminal animals. So the animals that have a supply of food in cities, like pigeons and rats, there's more of those now in existence as a result of humans. So I'm not sure. I don't think this is a good way to look at things.
No. My question is, what do animals consume? Water. What do plants consume? Water. So if you're buying a furniture, how much amount of water is spent on making it? If you are buying a car, 5,000 liters of water is spent on making a car. If you are building a house, thousands of liters of water is spent on building a house. So, and if you are consuming food, agricultural land, even if you are a vegan, let's say that you are not creating any farmed animals, there will be a piece of land which is farming. So you are let's say you are consuming 1 kg of rice, right? How much land does it require to produce 1 kg of rice? So all these, if human population decreases, obviously they are going to increase, right?
So do you actively try to maximize your consumption?
See, that's what I'm saying. So the thing is that I don't care whether humans increase or decrease, consumption increases or decreases. Human, animal, wild or farmed, any sentient being, literally, they shouldn't suffer. So I won't waste my time. Wait a second. I won't waste my time on calculating whether this decreases or that decreases, or I won't do that. For me, I want a total extinction of all sentient beings. Whatever is required for that, I will do. It's as simple as that.
Okay, but
Whatever
then
is required.
I think then the most rational way for you to live is not to actually make these kind of impossible calculations and gambles and get your head caught up in that thing.
Obviously.
You can be an anti-natalist and a vegan, as you're already doing with the veganism stuff.
See, I'll tell you one thing. Personally, I'm child free. Right?
Yeah.
I told you a hypothetical. This is never going to happen. Right? I told you a hypothetical situation. If tomorrow need be for causing extinction, today I am only planning on spreading ideology. Okay, let's say George is a natalist, right? He is going to have a son, and I am going to make him an extinctionist through my activism. This is what I am counting on, right? So I am personally child free, but if need be, I'll do something that is evil. I'll pick the lesser evil. I will reproduce if need be. That clarity should be there, right? Is this reproduction thing I am saying, that is for clarity. So we want total extinction, a permanent solution. Till then, extinctionists will exist. They will continue reproducing. Is what I'm saying. It's the basic point. It's as simple as that.
Well, guys, let's get
So even we have in our group extinctionists who are natalists, who have children. I'm just clarifying it. I am not going to fight with them. We have in our group people who consume meat, right, and are still working for extinctionism. I'm not going to fight with them. I'm not going to fight with them that you eat more meat and reduce the wild animal suffering, or I'm not going to fight with them that you stop eating meat to reduce the farmed animal suffering. It's pointless for me. I'm going to go ahead, and as long as they recognize sentientism, that all sentient beings are, all sentient beings suffering matter, and they work for extinctionism, I am fine with it. I am not, as you said, I'm not going to. This is just something that I am saying for your clarity, for giving you clarity that suffering will exist as long as life exists. There is no other solution other than extinct. That is why we are giving you this math. Not because we are fretting about it.
Okay, but can I ask, guys, what is it that you're asking me to do that I'm not doing already?
So basically, this is what I'm saying. So we have to. So the example that I told you. First, you decide that suffering needs to be eradicated, right? So you decide that suffering is unacceptable, right? So whether an animal is starving in a forest or a dairy farm, their suffering is basically not no different. If I want to help someone, I have to think about it from a victim's point of view. A deer cannot be happy that at least no dairy farmer is abusing me, so I guess I'll starve to death happily. It's not going to happen, right? So first you decide, like anti-slavery or any other activist decided, you decide that you are at the starting stages of a movement. You decide that something that is wrong, it needs to be eradicated. So the next thing you need to do is you need to do activism, right? So we are doing online activism, we are doing offline protests, we are even planning to start a political party for extinctionism, right? Whatever means you experimented, you find out, by whatever means you put people together, you put some brains to work together. That is your job currently, in the current stage of the movement, right? You put some brains. You are probably not a physicist, I don't think so. So you're probably not a scientist or a biologist or anything. So what you can do is that you do activism, gather people. This is the only thing we have to. You have to make people against life.
But what's wrong with animal rights activism that I'm doing right now, which is the main focus?
Simple terms, I'll tell you. currently you are advocating for extinction of farmed animals. You will also have to advocate for consciously causing the extinction of wild animals.
Extinction of wild
And
animals.
also
Yeah.
for the human society to be like a system to be changed in such a way that we should be aiming at causing cosmic extinction, aiming at solving the root cause of suffering or eradicating all life across the universe itself. We should advocate for that.
I already
not just the farm animals, farm animal extinction. You should be advocating for wild animal and whatever life is there, stray animals or any life.
That's what I've already been doing, but I don't know how the fuck we do it. Like I already agree. I've already been telling people I want all life on Earth extinct, but how the fuck do I do it?
I want you to watch some of the videos, especially I'll probably send you a link on the Instagram chat. So watch the video How Extinction, and we have done a seminar on the same topic, How Extinction. So basically what you do is that see, I'll tell you something, right? If I am the only activist right here, right, if I'm let's say that I'm 50-60 years ago, and I am deciding animal slavery should be stopped, you imagine my mentality, right? I'll think how to do this. I have absolutely no idea, right? So that's the same thing that every activist gets. But the thing is, they did activism beyond that, right? The only thing that was there in their mind is like emotional thing that this should be stopped. Okay, they were angry at injustice, they were angry at a suffering. They decided that this needs to be stopped, and then they started working towards it, gathering people, right? So I understand that when it comes to extinctionism, people feel the same thing, same kind of awe, right? This world is so big, this universe is even bigger, these people are saying cosmic extinctionism, we have to, even liberating animals seems like a huge task for me. So how do I go about causing extinction? This line of depressing thoughts might cross any activist's mind, especially when you are at a starting stages of a movement. But I would say whatever information you need to get you started is there in the video. So whatever I said, you have to do activism, you have to put brains together, right? So probably they didn't figure out that how to bring rights of black people, right? The first activist didn't figure that out. What he did is he decided that suffering of black people is something that I need to eradicate, right? So he decided that, and he started gathering people with this activism. Then it grew and grew and grew, and finally a solution came, right? So if you're not going to put, even for animal liberation, it's the same thing. As I told you, 30 years ago, you wouldn't have had the same confidence that you're having right now, right? So what happened? These people gathered and gathered. People like us who are empathetic towards animals, we gathered and gathered and gathered, and right now we have some framework, right? Okay, this is what we should do. So even we are working on it as we speak, right? That is what we are arguing on, like extinctionism and stuff. So that is how a framework evolves. It's as simple as that. You put brains together, you convince them that something that is absolutely bad, you convince them that it is bad first, then they let them start working on it. It's as simple as you do activism.
Yeah, you just asked me like what is wrong with animal rights, like working for animal rights. That term itself is wrong, right? You said that you are working, like you are advocating for extinction of both wild animals and farm animals. If it is so, then it's not animal rights, right? You are not advocating for rights, you are advocating for extinction, right? So we are not saying that animals should be given rights.
See, animals cannot consent to extinction. Even if you want to not even euthanize, let's forget euthanasia. Even if you want to sterilize them, their rights are being violated.
Yeah, but I'm advocating for animal rights, as in I consider the right not to be bred into slavery as a right. So that's one of the animal rights that I'm fighting for.
Yeah. So as Jeevan said, like the thing is that if you have to add wild animals, and you have to in your activism you have to recognize that the ultimate thing is extinction. Solution is extinction. So as a sentientist, if you care about all sentient beings, all sentient beings suffering, that is the only conclusion. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, sure. But right now, my my time is better off just being spent advocating that people don't breed animals into existence to be boiled alive and gassed and shipped on.
So that is the same thing. I told you, right. That is the same thing. Right now, I can say that right now, people are not accepting veganism. So I'll advocate for something like pescatarianism, reducetarianism, or this is basically the same thing. If you are saying like first I'll advocate for farmed animal extinction, then I'll advocate for wild animal extinction. It's a step-by-step approach. If you are one thing I discussed with you, unapologetic activism, the power of unapologetic activism, the power of radical activism, the power of saying that you are absolutely wrong, this is something that must be absolutely stopped, is very huge, right? So if you are like first we'll do this, if you are on the right, shouldn't you be very straightforward? You should say that from the beginning, right? If you think you are right, if you are right about something, if you think you are right about something, you have to be unapologetic about it. If you are not, it's literally like health activism or anything, because it's going to reduce the seriousness of the issue. It's going to cause a lot of complications. In activism, we need straightforward, unapologetic activism. See, even black
For sure.
rights or anything.
Say I was to say to someone on the street, I don't just want animal liberation, I want extinctionism. What action am I asking them to take? Because with the vegan advocacy, I'm saying not to buy animal products, and I'm telling to advocate for animal rights. What is it that I'm asking people to do if I say to people, I want all life on Earth to be extinct?
Okay, so the thing is that, as I said, we are not out of the animal movement. We are just out of veganism. We don't need to be loyal to veganism or that concept. We are just loyal to animals. This is something that I decided many years ago when I came to the movement. I'll always be loyal to animals. The victims are all that matter. I don't matter. Jeevan doesn't matter. Nobody matters, right? So what I have to do is that we have to ask people to do activism, right? We have to ask people. See,
but what is it we're asking them to do, to advocate for? Are we saying to people, please create an energy weapon that will destroy the universe? What are we saying to people to do?
So basically, we are telling people that see, society generally gives a society is generally pro-life. They value life. They think that it is something good, and a lot of complicated stuff are there. So we are clearing all these complications, and we are making the society extinctionist, work towards extinctionism. So let it be. You asked me that should we spread the life on other planets, or people will do that, right? So if you make an extinctionist society, right, so they are obviously not going to, it's the same as saying like, okay, you make an atheist society and complications related to religion. Let's say that a person who has some money, right, he is going to, maybe he's gonna give it to some people who are starving in an atheist society, but in a theist society he might give it to a church, right? But it's as simple as that. So each step, each people account for society. So if we convince the larger society to become extinctionist, they will take steps towards it, towards the rational path. So what they will do, okay, fine. So they will accept that they'll accept animals first, right? So they'll accept. So extinctionism basically stems from sentientism. So you have to accept all sentient beings suffering. First thing. Second thing you are going to do is that you accept that root cause of suffering is life. right? So you will start working towards extinctionism, towards a permanent solution for life. Third thing, so you are saying that someone like Elon Musk will spread the spread the life to Mars, right? But think about an extinctionist society, what they'll be doing. Same like an atheist society who's not spending money on religion. What they'll be doing is that they'll be against this. They'll advocate for the most minimal population that we have to sustain to cause extinction. Right? Let's make animals extinct first. We don't even need them. So this is how an extinctionist society will think. So we don't need animals. So let's make them extinct. So let's maintain a minimal population and fight for a permanent solution. This is how they will think. It's as simple as that. Similar
I just
think is to just rationalize people. That's all. Just have to rationalize people.
Simply.
Make them understand about these things. Yeah. And it's up to you. If you can do activism, that's best. And if it's like you can work regarding science or researchers or anything, that's also possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think the best thing to do while going to that is to practice what we preach and actually don't have kids. I think it will be nonsensical to people if throughout that time we're promoting extinctionism while saying we need to have kids to work on extinctionism, and then those kids that we have could just be more anti-extinctionists. Ultimately, you don't want to be creating more humans while you promote extinctionism. That's just going to be a bit of a weird, it's not a good example to set, and you're just creating more humans who are going to create more humans and create more humans and enjoy the gift of life and all this kind of stuff.
See, that doesn't make sense, because like if you are choosing not to give birth to a child, does that mean that you value the suffering of your own child more than all those animals which your child could have replaced?
Well, again, that's an impossible calculation because we don't know how many animals they would have replaced. You're creating a child who likely will not agree with extinctionism.
Even if we don't know how many animals he is going to replace, but we obviously we know that he is going to consume resources, and he is going to replace not a single animal but a lot of animals, because by the resources a single human is consuming, a lot of animals can live.
But they're going to breed. They're going to breed a lot of animals, and they're going to breed more humans, and they're going to breed more non-vegans, more anti-extinctionists, more people like Elon Musk who will want to move life to the other planets.
Already anti-extinctionists are there.
Two things you forgot, which we discussed. We never we never told anyone like, okay, extinctionists should have a child, have 10 children, have 5 children. We never told that. And we never told any extinctionist, I'm not asking you, as an extinctionist to have a child also. I'm not doing that. I said that in an hypothetical situation where we have to, we have to consider animals and consider a more permanent solution, which is cosmic extinctionism. I said that time it becomes a moral obligation for extinctionists to reproduce. And I said that if somebody who's a natalist is going to come and do extinctionist activism, I'm not against them. I don't go and fight against them. It's as simple as that. This is all that we said. And the other thing is that one more point I told you, like, society should always move towards ethics and rationality, otherwise a society won't progress at all, right? So it is also evident, I already told you, it's evident as social justice movements, atheism, rise of nihilism, etc. So if let's say that there comes a situation where there are 100 extinctionists, the rest of them goes extinct, and we all reproduce, right? So I'm just playing some childish game with you. So let's say that my kid chooses to be not an extinctionist. Jeevan's kid probably will, because 100 of us are the society. We have a better chance of influencing those children, right? So we don't need to go this much, but I'm just getting down to the level.
Just one single thing, like so okay, if you are going to give birth, it might be that child might be an anti-extinctionist also. So it doesn't make any difference, right? If an extra anti-extinctionist comes into this world, there will be suffering, just as there is suffering right now. And if you don't give birth also, there is suffering. Okay, there is absolutely no difference. But you are going to give birth, and if that child is going to be an extinctionist, there is a possibility that suffering could end tomorrow. So it's not even a gambling.
So I already cleared that one also. You are contradicting yourself. You are saying that society will never become extinctionist, and then you are saying that Elon Musk will, spread the life, and you are saying that because of us reproducing, we are extending the suffering. And I already established again. We have to go round and round here. For me, my child suffering and deer suffering is the same. So if there comes a situation, I'll reproduce. If probably Elon Musk is already expanding life on Mars, activism is enough. We are civilized humans. We don't reproduce anymore to spread our information. We can do it through our activism ideology. It's
I
as
guess
simple as that.
ultimately, look, I'm not going to sacrifice a child on the altar of an
Don't do
idea
it.
that I don't think is
Don't,
ever going to happen.
don't do it. Even I don't see myself, ever procreating, because I know there are probably 7 point some billions of breeders out there who are going to do the job, and I'll just make them extinctionists and take them for activism. It's as simple as that. Even I'm not going to do that. I personally hate kids. They are annoying, right? I can't have kids. Only when it's absolutely necessary, I will. And that situation is not going to come. We already discussed the starting point you said, which I agreed, is world is never going to be like fully anti-natalist. There will be always a one or two morons that are going to reproduce, right?
Yeah, look, maybe we can end the discussion here. I don't know, but ultimately, look, I agree with you both that all sentient life on Earth needs to go extinct, but I personally think I'm doing a good thing by being an anti-natalist and also doing animal rights activism. And I just want to live actually in line with the principles that I'm preaching myself. I don't like suffering to exist. I don't think there's any need to create new conscious beings, so I don't do that myself. I understand that a deer in this area of a wood might reproduce here or something.
Similar example I told you. You can say that, okay, let me see. You have let's say that you have a principle that you shouldn't kill anybody, right? But you are living in a country where a dictator is doing a holocaust, right? And you get an opportunity to kill this guy who's doing the holocaust. You are doing it, right? Killing is wrong, yes. Your principles are against it, yes. But you are doing, I'm not, again, I don't deny that it's not evil. Again, you are doing what is the lesser evil. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That doesn't contradict with your principles as well. So your principle is basically preventing deaths, preventing people getting murdered. So you are doing a good job of that. We cannot basically be children. We have to accept that life is not so black and white. Sometimes we have to do some things.
The consequentialist argument, though.
Yeah, and if it's just about
consequentialism is everything, bro. If you are put in a situation, even if these deontologists, everybody, if they were put in a situation, a real life or death, or worst suffering kind of situation, they would take a consequentialist decision. They would choose lesser suffering.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
But,
it's theoretical. You can say that all kinds of murder is murder. It looks very good in Batman movies and Justice League, Avengers, whatever. But it doesn't look good, very good in life, practical life.
And yeah, and if it's just about self-satisfaction, like you told that I'm satisfied with what I'm doing, I'm not procreating, I'm a vegan activist. If it's like that, I can also be satisfied. I'm satisfied that I'm not abusing any children, I'm not abusing any women. So I'm just satisfied with that. I don't have to work for animal liberation or extinction or anything. These two things doesn't have any difference. It's not about our satisfaction, it's about the result there. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
Jeevan, I think the points mainly Jeevan has made throughout this stream have basically accumulated to the idea that everything is pointless. It's just like, oh, if you do this thing, something else will happen, so who cares? Like, I don't think that's a good
the
way
thing
to
that
live.
Jeevan is saying is not that everything is pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Extinction have a point, because if you cause total extinction, eradicate all life, that have a point because it will end the suffering. That's all. Other things doesn't have a point, because suffering is like that. It will just change forms. It will just transfer from one group of people, individuals, to another group of individuals. It will just.
So would you would you say it's okay to just shoot someone in the head, because all you'd be doing by letting that person live is transferring suffering?
No. Again, you are coming round and round, bro. I think I gave you like I don't know, tens of examples saying why. Jeevan and I, we probably share the same brain, except he watches less anime. So I can speak for him and he can speak for me. We will feel free to.
All right.
Yeah,
well, look,
fine. Like if you want to ask something, like I didn't. So
Yeah,
I just literally told you that all these things just transfer suffering. Okay. So if I choose not to kill a human being, that human being might tomorrow go and consume, like buy chickens from a chicken stall, and he will be torturing a lot of animals. So all these things doesn't make any sense. That's why I am an extinctionist. So this also doesn't make any sense if you are asking me whether you will kill that person, whether you will choose not to kill that person. So I will choose something which will be safe for me, and I can do activism, and I can contribute to the cause of causing extinction. That's all.
See, I'll simply put what he's saying. You cannot, he's saying that trying to solve suffering within existence without causing extinction, whatever you do will be pointless, because it will change forms. For example, you fight against poverty, you abolish poverty, right? You abolish racism. It's not like these black people or people who are poor, they don't get mental diseases. Life can always hurt you in other forms, right? So it will be pointless to first fight for this, fight for that, fight for this, because suffering keeps changing forms. Like for example, you solve you are thinking that you are, by bringing something like internet, you are solving suffering, right? You are making communication easier, but it also gives a place to darknet where crimes happen. So whatever you do, suffering will change forms, right?
So when you
it will it will create new forms of suffering, and ultimately same thing. If you are an anti-natalist, wild animals are suffering. If you are a vegan, wild animals are suffering. And on the other case, if you are like a pro-consumerist, if you are like farming wild animals and by having a child, then your child is suffering, and farmed animals are suffering. What he's trying to say is fighting for both the things, saying that increase farmed animal suffering, bring technology, or fighting against it, both are pointless, because both will cause suffering. Suffering will change forms, but it will be constantly there. It cannot be eradicated.
So would you guys just say to abolish the police, because it's just ultimately pointless? Because if a child gets murdered, like, so be it, kind of thing. It's just everything is pointless unless we have extinctionism.
Can you repeat that? I don't get you at all.
Would you both say we might as well just abolish the police, because there's no point in catching things like child rapists, child murderers, all these people, because all this stuff without extinction is just well, if you do this, it's just transferring suffering to another, or if you, it's all just kind of pointless. It makes no tangible difference in the world if a child gets murdered or something. Like if Madeleine McCann gets kidnapped.
See, directly I am advocating to euthanize all these people, like even the victim, even the criminal, even the police, everybody, they should vanish from this world. That's what I am advocating. So I don't have to advocate whether police system should be there or they shouldn't be there. So it,
No, but while you're here,
make any sense.
But this stuff is happening while you're here, and you don't have a magic button to extinct. I agree. I want everyone to be extinct. I never wanted Madeleine McCann to be kidnapped in the first place. Never should have been born. But
nobody has a magic button for anything. You don't have a magic button to instantly liberate animals. We are working for it, and yeah, we need some systems in place for society to function so that we can work towards a permanent solution. As I said, even reproducing to cause cosmic extinction is similar thing. We need society to exist to do that, to find a permanent solution.
Just the same question, I can turn it back also to you also. So you are asking for animal liberation, right? So would you advocate that there shouldn't be police to save or prevent murders to homicides because humans are going to kill animals? Would you advocate that?
No, I wouldn't, because I don't have that position that you have.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Even if you are in that position, it would be illogical.
Say it doesn't matter. I don't just say, oh, it doesn't matter that Madeleine McCann was kidnapped. I do think it matters morally that Madeleine McCann was kidnapped and probably murdered, even though Madeleine McCann wasn't a vegan.
It's an illogical question to ask in the first place, because it is totally, existence of police and extinctionism is like totally irrelevant. We are saying that we need society to exist. We never claimed that we don't need anything in place, or we need a system to fight against existence. We definitely do need it. It's as simple as that. We never advocated against it.
All right, cool. I think we've gone as far as we can go anyway, guys. But yeah.
We are coming back round and round one. You rewatch this debate. I have told you all the answers. I think mostly every point about extinctionism came out in this debate, I guess, or discussion, whatever. I think we named it a discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So I would also suggest you, please watch our not just you, the audience who are watching. If you are an extinctionist, if you are thinking that extinction is the solution for suffering, if you are anti-suffering, if you are a sentientist, please do watch the How Extinction video and the seminar, right? So I do know, like some people are like very blind what to do about it. How do I go about this? But every information you want is in that seminar and that video. Every single information. I guess I'll post it on the comment box or description later. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Cool. Nice discussion.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
All right then, guys. Well, you have a good rest of the day, and I will catch you later.